man worry, it's going fine. It's going fine.
Picture of people taking.
Get
into the
I know where you should be.
wear your shoe, don't worry. You can wear your shoe. Can wear your shoe. Don't worry. You don't dey get them.
They are like sorry. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, continue.
I've made any kind of this because I've done this very many online. It's done. So far it's going.
Connect online.
Yes,
Yeah, go and sit down. You go and sit down here. No, continue. Don't worry. Continue. I'll be talking, then you'll have been disconnected. Don't worry, while she's teaching, you can be trying it out or something. We have 30 seconds more. So let's quickly wrap up so that we can have our voiceover off. Sam, so reduce the sound, reduce it. Yes. Let's quickly wrap up. We have 30 seconds to pick up our snacks. So just before I make welcome the convener of the Bloom Conference, we would quickly listen to this voiceover, and I'm just going to offer us about 30 seconds to settle down so that we can have our full attention on the screen.
Audio Columbia is the founder of the Explore Network, where she helps leaders align their life's purpose with their leadership through the signature framework, the Wheel of Purpose, and the Purpose Integration Framework. With almost a decade of experience in human resources, she specializes in employee engagement, awards, and leadership development, driving performance and organizational growth across sectors. She is also passionate about raising purpose-driven individuals through initiatives like the Purpose Bootcamp and her faith-based platforms, where she equips women and young leaders for impactful living. Audio Colomi is a purpose, leadership, and rhythm reset coach, a speaker, a conference host, and author, committed to helping high-capacity leaders live and lead with clarity, alignment, and purpose. Please welcome the convener of Bloom Conference 2026, Audio Colomi.
everyone. Morning, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to have everyone here. Can you please have a round of applause for yourself? And can you look at the person seated next to you and just say something sweet?
I don't know if you tell you something sweet though.
For your fabulous, like you're trying it. I'm so excited to have each and every one of us here. I do not take this for granted. And I'm trying not to bring and welcome my friends. I don't want to talk of spirits, but I also want to mention something that I don't want to forget. But more importantly, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm excited to have everyone of you. So, first of all, I already said I ran out of health. All right, so to be honest, for many of us to be here, it took planning, rescheduling, maybe negotiating with work, organizing children, choosing outfits. Some of you even changed twice. Me, I think like 3 times. And it's okay, we understand. And yet you showed up. And that already says something about you. And this is why I want to tell you why Bloom. Bloom was not created because women do not create well. Matter of fact, for everyone. And I want you to appreciate yourself. So I've done that. I woke up in the morning, I was motivated, inspired. I made my lemon water. I felt like a woman. I started stretching. Or I didn't have a healthy lunch. I was basically a nutritionist. I looked at myself and thought, wow, all right. And then that happened. Guess what? While trying to multitask, of course, because I'm a woman, I burned the toast. I forgot my laptop charger. I forgot my ID card, access into the office. And then I spilled coffee on that one outfit, and I tried 7 other outfits before that was. And then I rushed out stressed, and I was obviously twisted. And I thought, wow, that didn't last long. You're just going to you know what, just keep up. But here's the thing. Before that day, someone came up to me and said, honestly, I don't know how you take it. You're always doing my head out. You know, you saw me. I came with the toast and the steel coffee. You know. And that's when it hit me. And some of us are walking around thinking we're failing at life, while everyone else is looking at us thinking we're thriving. And the key message is this: balance isn't about having everything perfectly aligned at all times. Because if we're honest, life doesn't come with a perfectly aligned setting. You know, balance is not perfection. It's adjustment, resilience. It's knowing which ball to hold tightly at different times of your life. Which one do I drop? Which one should continue bouncing? Which one should I hold on to? And sometimes balance can look like winning at work, winning at work, meeting all the emails, meeting the targets, and then when you get to stick out because you can make food, right? Balance could be showing up for others when things are not also working at you. So today, I'm here to talk about how to have it. I'm not here to talk about how to have it all together. I'm here to talk about how to live and to thrive without being guilty, even on those days when the toast wants the coffee is still and couldn't enter the office. I'd like to go to slide 3. Yeah, so on that slide, I want you guys to look at that slide. It has what you call the polished version and the real version. We've been sold a fantasy of balance. This perfect polished version where everything is equal, controlled, and fits neatly together. But that's not real life. The polished version, that's the one on the left. That is what we're told balance should look like. Everything is equal, everything is under control. My kids are perfect in school, they're getting their grades, my husband loves me. He just gave me a lovely this morning. I do fantastic. I'm in my best of grades. And my education is all that. It needs completely coherent. The real version. Real balance isn't about doing everything. It's mainly about alignment. That's living in line with your actual values, not someone else's values, not Facebook or Snapchat or social media version of what life should be. What are your own values? What won't you do, irrespective of whether you're hot or not? Like that woman in the camera. How does your faith align to your values? And then it's also about season. Accepting that there are different phases requiring different focus. There are different seasons in our life. You can't give 100% to everything at the same time. I don't know if you guys know the lady called Indra Nooyi. I don't pronounce her name very well. Indra Nooyi is one of the best female CEOs in the world. She was the CEO for Pepsi for a very long time. She was talking about, can a woman have it all? And I listened to her, and one part she said, a woman can't have it all. Another time she said, a woman can have it all. I'm like, she couldn't agree with herself on whether women can have it all. And that's maybe because the answer isn't a yes or no. It depends on the season you are in. It depends on the season present. I see a whole lot of it, nodding. So you guys know what I'm saying. Can I start that? Yeah. So for me, when I listened to Linda, it was quite interesting because she talked about um, how it was difficult being a CEO, having a career as a woman, and still having children, and where there were trade-offs. She talked about having needing to have support. There was the part where she said even as secretary was part of her support because her son would call the secretary and say, "Can I play Nintendo?" And the secretary has a list of questions. Have you brushed? Have you done your homework? Have you eaten? If all yes, okay, you can play Nintendo. It was that but she did say something which resonated with me. As long as you know what is important to you at each time of your life, and you choose that at that time of your life without feeling guilty, then that is your balance. That is when you have it all for yourself. It is intentional trade-off, making conscious choices about what matters right now without guilt. So the key insights: if you try to do everything at once, you end up doing nothing well, losing yourself in the process. The real version of balance rests on authenticity. You need to show up as your true self. Don't try to be someone else. You will always be a copy of somebody else. Show up as yourself. Be clear, communicate who you are. Don't think that being an extrovert is what is reading. So you want to become an extrovert. You will always fail trying to be somebody else. And then be consistent about what you choose to do. And that is what sustaining balance really is. Let's go to slide 4. My slide 4 talks about the 3 pillars of balance. It says balance isn't accidental. It's intentional and it's built on foundation. The first one talks about the pillar of work, defining productivity from business to meaningful impact. And I think the understanding for us is that some of us, I know men do much more than women, but some of us define ourselves by our jobs. We define ourselves by the fact that if you're working so hard, you're making a lot of money, or you're doing something, that means that, well, if you're making a lot of money, I like money, that's good. But if you're busy and there's no impact, what is moving the needle? There's really no impact, but you know your day is it worth it? That's something to consider. The other pillar is life, and I'm going to go into those each one of them. This is about protecting yourself and setting boundaries. The last part is about purpose. I wouldn't say too much about purpose because we have the purpose experts here. But I've always known something about purpose, even before I went to our expert sector. It's a connective tissue in life. When you think work, life, purpose, for me, it's the stronghold. It's that main pillar that helps you to determine what is my life about, what is my work about. It has to be linked to your purpose. If what you're doing does not have a purpose, if you're going to work, you're living life and you're not fulfilled, it means you actually don't know the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. You don't know the purpose of your life. So for me, these 3, they don't exist in isolation. Support and strengthen each other. When all of these 3 pillars are in place, you're not just more productive, feel more grounded, present and whole. And that's the goal. If we go to the next slide, let's discuss about productivity. And I think I want to challenge the cultural narrative about business. Productivity is not about how much you do, it's about how much impact you do. There was a time I measured my effectiveness by how full my days was, how many emails I sent, how many meetings I did. Now I ask a different question. What actually moved the needle? Because not everything deserves our energy. Not everything deserves your energy, right? And one of the most important things you can learn, especially as a woman, is this: saying no is not a weakness. It is a strategy. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your impact, you drain your energy, and you lose focus on what truly matters. Real productivity requires clarity, boundaries, and the confidence to prioritize without guilt. You can't say yes to everyone.
You need to know where is my strength? What should I focus more on doing? If I don't have to do it, then I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't do it because people are saying it needs to be done. I'd like to ask a question here. Does anyone know what is the cost of saying yes to everything? What's the cost? Can somebody help me? Do you know the cost of saying yes to everyone asks you to do something in the office? Family members are asking you to do something, you're always volunteering, you're always saying, what's the cost of that? People burn out, fantastic. That's it. You get diabetes. Yeah, every year. They can't even see the real thing you're doing because you're doing this, it's not well done, you're doing that one, it's not well done. So everyone like, the friend was here, but you don't know, was she here? It's who did she support? I don't know, so it leads you to burnout, drain energy, lost focus. And that's why I always say, what moves the needle? If there are 4 opportunities and I decide to pick 1 or 2, I want to do it well. I want people to know that I was there and I did it well. I don't have to do everything. You don't have to do everything because you can't do it. Really. So for me, I like 3 things. You need clarity, you need boundaries, and you need to have confidence to be able to say no. Saying no doesn't mean you're good, doesn't mean you're incapable. People shouldn't make you feel bad about it. You need to be confident in yourself. There's this, it just validates the limits of what you want to take. Right? Let's go to the next slide. It talks about protecting your peace. And I'm taking this way because when you know what is your limits, you're able to go. Okay, we're still safe. And you know your limits, then you know how to find that. And peace is very important to us as a woman, I tell you. Many of us are high actually, but internally we are overwhelmed. And we need to sit down and ask ourselves, am I overwhelmed? Do I have peace within me? Am I doing things because I need to do? Protecting your peace means a lot of things. And it's not something that just happens. It's something that you have to work towards. Without having to sound too spiritual, I don't know if it's possible for you to fully obtain or have that peace without you having that, your full purpose and knowing who you are and who you serve. Do you have faith in somebody? Do you have a God to believe? Because sometimes, as human beings, we could be overwhelmed. I will give you my example. There are scenarios where there's so many things to do, I'm overwhelmed, and I don't know who to say no to in actual fact. But I know I need to say no to somebody because I can't do everything. So I pray. And one way or the other, I find that peace. I find that confidence able to step up to something and go like, you know what? You're fantastic. I wish I could do this, but I can't. Or count me in another time. And just using that peace. There's no guilt in there. Peace is not passive, it is protected. And protecting your peace means setting boundaries without over-explaining. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need people to puncture the reasons, your rationale. They're just not available. Letting go of the need to please everyone. Accepting that you cannot carry everything for everyone. Sometimes the most powerful sentence you can say is, not now. Another time, but not now. And this lady cuts across personal life, work, even children, even husband, boyfriend, spouse. Sometimes it's not now. Not because you don't care, but because you understand your limits. Because you're constantly available. Because when you're constantly available to everyone else, you become unavailable to yourself. And you need to be available to yourself. Let's go deeper. Faith, purpose, anchor. The next slide, please. Even if you get work and life right, sometimes things can still feel missing. And that's the part I was talking missing piece could be your purpose. Purpose is what makes the effort meaningful. What keeps you grounded when things get difficult. And purpose doesn't have to be dramatic or big. It can be the impact you have on others, the example you set, the growth you're committed to. So I often ask myself this question: why does this matter to me? And I tell, even at work, I'm the kind of person that I see emails. I've done my emails in a way where I know copy to me and direct to me. I had to arrange my life. There's some things that it is meant for me to do, and there's some things that I'm just copying. So when I look at the things that are copied, and I want to quickly respond, visually, something like, how does this happen? Why do you want to do this? Because the moment you start, it becomes your job. So why do you want to do it? And you need to ask the question. And if I tell myself, well, even though it's not sensitive, it's very important, I need to, but there's a checkpoint. Why does this matter? So you need to take a step back at times. And the things you want to do, engage in family, engage. Even in engaging your spouse, should we continue this conversation? Does it really matter? So asking the person, why does this matter to you? Because when you lose connection to your purpose, success can start to be less. I'd like to go to the next slide, which talks about different stages in our life. Yeah. Different stages in our life. This does not have to be distant timing. It could be weekly, daily juggling, time off work to take care of the children. You know, I kept saying things about you can't do everything simultaneously. I'll give you an instance about different stages in our lives. And we're all in different stages in our life. When I had my kids, and they were, I think, about between the ages of 4 and 7, less than 10, I remember. So I'm a banker, I've been a banker for several years, and I feel the work of a banker. So some of us actually, I know, the office as early as 6 a.m. and we leave until 8 p.m. Even though I started as a banker, at some point in my life, I decided that my children were more important than the job. And I decided that I would feel guilty if I focused on the job rather than focus on the children. So what did I do? Where I was in Nigeria there, it takes you about 2 hours to commute to the head office. Those of us that know Lagos, to the island. And then another 2 hours to commute back home. It meant that if I needed to leave the office at 7 or 8 a.m., I needed to leave home at 6 a.m. And then I wouldn't be back until 10 p.m. I tell you, a lot of people do it. And there's also the understanding that when you're in the head office, there's more visibility. The likelihood of your career growing is faster as compared to when you're in the branches. But I decided that I wasn't going to go to the head office. I decided to take jobs in the branches. For every job I took, they asked me, I'm moving to the head office, I'm like, head office, I'm like. I wanted to be 15 minutes away from home. I wanted to see those kids because I believed that the values I was going to impute in their lives was more important than whatever job whatever money I was going to make in my career. Now, who has slowed me down? I don't believe it because I didn't catch up with those growth. But at those times in my life, I decided that I didn't want to leave my kids in the hands of nannies because most people left their kids in the hands of nannies. So I could leave home at 7:30, get to work at 8 o'clock. I was a salesperson. During sales time, I could drop in at home and see how they were doing out. It made the nanny aware that I wasn't a parent that was leaving at 6 a.m. and coming back 10 p.m. so they could do whatever they like. It was just a checkpoint. At that point, that was the season of my life. And that was the decision I made. And that was an intentional trade-off. Which bulb did I decide to hold on to? And which bulb did I think should be let? Those are examples of it. But it could be this seasonal decisions, could be daily decisions. It doesn't have to be weekly. It doesn't have to be. Okay, another example is this. You could decide that this is the time to focus on my career. So 2 of my kids are in the university now. I don't feel it's time to focus on my career. I could spend 10 hours in the office, 12 hours in the office. Oh, I don't have a child at home, that's fine. And a younger one, actually. But the truth is that making that decision could be a decision of a daily decision, or could be a whole year decision. Now I say that I could spend 12 hours at work. Some years ago too, maybe about 2 years ago, I decided that the next thing for me was a qualification. So I needed to improve my career, and the focus was my qualification. That meant that I wouldn't do 12 hours at work or 10 hours at work. I was going to do, hope my boss wouldn't hear this, the barest minimum, so that I could focus on my personal life, which was my qualification. What I'm trying to explain to you guys is that at that point, I didn't feel guilty about work not being done or another thing not being done, because I decided within myself, this is what is priority at this time. And that was the balance. And that's the balance everybody needs to choose. Another example is this. At some point in my career, I was offered a job that would require me to travel to embassies, because I was in sales, meet dignitaries, diplomats, and sell the bank to them. I didn't think my marriage was on good standing at that point. And I knew that if I took that job, I probably might not come back to good marriage. Guy would have left me. Everybody's still doing it. So I decided not to take that job, because I knew that I had a duty. I would feel guilty. And this has to be your decision, not someone else's. I would feel guilty if I decided to take this opportunity and lose this. So at every time in our lives, we need to decide what is priority. What do we want? Ira did say something about our son coming home and saying, "Mommy, there was parents meeting and you didn't show up. I'm so sad. Why didn't you show up?" And she was always feeling guilty because she was a CEO. She couldn't go for those meetings. 9 a.m. parents meeting. Who does 9 a.m. parents meeting? She shouldn't type in the office. So what did she do? She tried to call the school. I don't think they would do it. She tried to call the school and ask them the list of all the parents that didn't come. They gave her the list. So when her son comes and says, "Mommy, you didn't come," say, "Hey, yes, this person that didn't come. This person didn't come." So we're more than one. But that was the way she could cope. For me, these days I tell myself that I could give 10 hours to work. But when I need to go to my daughter's school, then I'll stay off work. What I'm trying to say is that juggling doesn't have to be 6 months period. On a daily basis, you make a decision. What is important to you? What is important tomorrow? At every time, you're making a decision of what is important. Is it to go with my child to school? Is it to focus on this job? Is it to listen to Mr. Bonito, my husband, and satisfy him? Or is it to take care of myself? And every time you need to make a decision of what is important. And that is your balance. So there's career season, like I explained. There's family seasons. Other times, people closest to you need you. That takes priority. You need to decide that if someone needs me at this time, then that takes priority. And I will not feel guilty about it. So, and there's a season for you to rest and review. It could be on your career. It could be on your person. It could be on your learning. And sometimes, recovery and restoration without apologizing for it. The problem is not that we have different demands. The problem is that we expect ourselves to meet all of them equally, all the time. That's where the pressure comes from. So instead of chasing perfect balance, I've learned to ask, what does this season require from me? And as important, what am I willing to let go of temporarily without it? Because balance isn't static, it's a constant recalibration. The key shift, you should stop aiming for perfect balance, which is a myth. Instead, ask the reframing question: what does this season require? Our mindset needs to remove the shame from season where something gets less attention because you're being intentional, or rather you're juggling it. I think my final slide, if you go to slide 9. going to ask you ladies to do something. You have a pen and a paper. Put a pen and a paper in and a pen in front of you. I didn't plan this. I didn't know she was going to do that. It's amazing, right? So balance isn't built overnight. It comes from small intentional choices. I want to give you 3 concrete things you can start doing. Do a life for it. I'm waiting for us to read out your book. I know we don't have a lot of time to read, but I'll ask you to do something. Do a life for it. Take time to reflect honestly on what's working and what isn't. One very important one is what activates energy, what energizes, and what drains you. Just write that heading. What energizes you? Another heading. What drains you? Write it down. Awareness is crucial. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. You think you know it in your mind. You'll be surprised that when you decide to look through it, it might be different. Another thing I'd like you to do is choose top 3 priorities, not 10, not everything, just 3 for this season. When you choose 3 things, everything else comes easier to you. I'd like you to also release one guilt-driven obligation. Is there something you feel guilty about? Write it down. Release one guilt-driven obligation. Identify something you're doing out of I should do it rather than necessity. Maybe it's a commitment, a responsibility, a habit. Letting it go is an act of self-leadership, not selfishness. It creates space for what actually matters to you. I'll tell you guys, ladies, when I was doing this, I decided to keep the same task and ask myself, what energizes me and what drains me? I've never really done this before, so it was quite interesting. I kept thinking, for me, what energizes me? And one of the speakers asked me yesterday. She didn't know she was asking me because I was ready for this. Helping people, providing value, pouring into other people, opening the doors for other babies. You know, being with my family, that energizes me. Making another person happy, having a great time, talking, gisting, just being there for the next person, actually energizes. I look for every opportunity to be there for somebody else. And I ask myself, what drains me? When I said it, I had to put it in ChatGPT so that I can say it right. And ChatGPT wrote for me what I was saying. It says, something I found quietly draining at times is subtle competition in friendship. When connection starts to feel like comparison, not the obvious kind, but the unspoken measuring who is doing more, who is achieving more, who is coping better. That happens a lot with women. It can take that ease out of relationships that are meant to be easy. If that drains me, and I can now understand why I stay away from some, because I sense that women, and I don't want it. It drains my energy. I think as women, we're often navigating so many expectations for it. And when comparison creeps into our brain, it shifts something, it makes you more guarded, just less able to just. I've become intentional about choosing and nurturing friendship where there's genuine support. So, ladies, I'll leave you with this. You don't need to do more to feel balanced. You just need to choose better. You need to live more intentionally. You need to give yourself permission to, because the art of balance is not about perfection. It's about creating a life that feels good on the inside as it feels on the outside. And I'll end with a question. What would your life look like if you stop trying to do everything and start focusing on what you do? Thank you.
No, do better.
that's still too low for the first keynote. I thought you would do better than that. I thought we would do much more better than that. Now we are trying. A quick fun fact about the best keynote speaker. Do you want to guess that? Who wants to guess that? She is the first Nigerian banker that works in the banking industry in Germany. A round of applause for her. Wow. All right. So we quickly go to the next keynote speaker. And I hope are you having fun? Are you having fun? Are you learning something new? Yes, I would have had you to write something in your notebook. So you should do that time. All right. I'll quickly welcome to the next.
It's a transformation company.
Oh yeah, so it's gonna work, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay, I will hold my phone fact about the second keynote speaker. So I would have the technical team place and make sure you pay attention to this next session because it also quotes says beyond survival. All right, technical team, please bring it up.
Your subs.
Yes.
Helps people step out on their pilot and connect with themselves. Having experienced her own shift from survival mode to intentional living, she now supports others who know such a need, but don't yet know what that is, helping them meet themselves where they are so they can create meaningful, lasting change and truly thrive. She is also the creator of the Pure Method, a simple yet powerful self-awareness tool designed to help people pause, reflect, and realign with who they truly are. Please welcome to Bloom Conference 2026, Sue Stubbs.
Thank you for being here. I rocked up about 45 minutes early, and watching behind the scenes and Palumi and everybody getting everything ready was just lovely to witness and lovely to be part of. So I'm very, very grateful to be here today, talking with you and sharing a bit about my journey from survival to thriving. I'm Sue. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a grandmother, I'm a partner, I'm a friend, I'm a transformation coach, I'm a membership services officer, I'm a sauna hostess, I'm an employee, I'm a colleague, and I'm a leader. And all of those labels carry a responsibility, and it's down to us to show up with all of these different hats. There's expectation from others and expectations from ourselves. Have you ever counted how many hats you're wearing? How many hats are you wearing right now? Lots. And the reality is we're wearing more than one hat at any one time. And these are big responsibilities. They're not ones that just come in and out of our lives. Careers change, but responsibility started early for me. when I became a mum at 16. Whilst my friends were moving through childhood, education, and into adulthood, I was instantly responsible for another little person. So there we were, a little unit, me and Danny, and life unfolded. And that was nearly 35 years ago. And today, life is very different. So how did I get here, right now, in this moment, talking to you about thriving when 35 years ago, the odds weren't exactly in my favor? So a few weeks ago, the amazing Palumi came into Springfield where I work, and she was looking for a venue to hold her conference. We had no availability, so really the conversation should have ended there. I was curious, so I asked her what the conference was about. And as she started talking about Bloom, she lit up. And as she was speaking, I remember thinking, this is really special and I would love to be part of it. Yeah, amazing. And then she, I'll go back. That feeling, when just something just feels right. And then Palumi said, I'm looking for speakers. And I went, I'll speak at your conference. Palumi was amazed. I was amazed. But that feeling when you just know that there's something, I just couldn't explain it, but what were we like? We were like, we've met each other for a reason, right? And in that moment, I felt connected. I felt motivated. I felt aligned. We exchanged details. Palumi left. And when I received the brief, Thriving Beyond Survival, I just felt this overwhelming sense of purpose. And then fear kicked in. That voice in my head, that loud voice saying, what the hell were you thinking? You couldn't have agreed to this. You can't do this. You've never done anything like this before. Just tell her you're busy. And normally I would have listened. But this time I paused and I noticed exactly what was going on. Fear, self-doubt, all dressed up as you're not good enough. But I recognized what was going on and I moved past it. I worked on my presentation, and I'm not going to lie, over the last few weeks, that little voice kept creeping back in saying, who actually cares what you have to say? But I'm still here, standing in front of you, honest, vulnerable, and real with my little story. Oh no, back one. Okay. So I want to ask you a question. Who here feels like they're thriving? A few hands, Who looks like they're thriving from the outside? So, yeah. So thriving, I actually thought, what is thriving? We usually think of thriving as a successful career, family, partner, a lovely home, nice holidays. So I thought I'd investigate a little bit more, and I did what most of us do, and I consulted with Google and ChatGPT. And thriving, this is what came up. To grow, develop, become successful, to work on yourself, your resilience, your personal growth, to grow into the fullness of your life, becoming you. And that sounds amazing, right? We hear more about it in movements like Palumi is creating here, self-care, personal growth, looking after ourselves. We absolutely know it is important, and that's why you're all here today. But if we're honest, it doesn't come naturally, does it? Because even sitting here today, giving yourself this time, I know that some of you are thinking, I should be doing something else, right? I've got stuff to do. I've got a to-do list as long as your arm, but you're here, and that's amazing. So I want to try something actually. So hands up if you've been busy today. Everybody's been busy? Okay. Hands up if you spent most of your time doing things for other people. Hands up if you haven't really taken a moment for yourself apart from now. And hands up if you feel guilty about putting yourself first. a lot of the time we are wearing all of these hats. We're on autopilot, survival mode, getting through the day, ticking things off, showing up for everyone else. And along the way, like Fumi said, we lose ourselves, right? We do. So let's talk about survival mode. When we think about survival mode, we think of burnout, crisis, overwhelm, breakdown. But here's another truth. Survival mode can be a bit more subtle than that. It can be struggling to make decisions, exhausted but struggling to sleep, digestive issues, recurring illnesses, and that feeling that you're just on all the time. And sometimes we don't even realize it until something shifts. And that's what happened for me. Not in a big dramatic, everything fell apart kind of way. It was subtle. Over the years, life filled up for me. Marriage, 3 children, a career into senior leadership, qualifications, responsibility. Life was full day to day. And I showed up wearing most of those hats as best I could, looking after everyone because that's what we do. But we enjoy it for the most part, okay? It's not, it's not like we don't want to do it, but we do enjoy it for the most part. And we call it strength, resilience, and even success. And from the outside, I perhaps looked impressive, even thriving, but underneath it all, I was in survival mode and I didn't realize it. I want to go back a little bit to 2013. I was treated for a condition called atrial fibrillation. It was an irregular heart rhythm and it was an ongoing condition, not life-threatening, but it was triggered by a number of factors that I didn't know at the time, stress and lifestyle being 2 of those. I had the treatment, I carried on, back to life, being busy because who else is going to do everything, right? Over the months that followed, my health started to decline. I had recurring chest infections, constant fatigue, shortness of breath, weight loss, and I wasn't really listening to my body. Doctors kept prescribing medication, but nothing seemed to be helping. I just kept at it, had responsibilities to others, and I was just trying to juggle everything. I was doing my CMI exams, I had parenting struggles, a divorce, financial stress. I was in a senior leadership role. I couldn't drop any balls. I was juggling and I did the best I could until my body just said stop. I was admitted into hospital and my respiratory system was failing. I had pneumonia, I had anemia, my liver wasn't functioning properly, and that was certainly not a condition for a 38-year-old. My body was in a pretty bad way. I spent a week in hospital and a month off work. It took me almost 2 years to recover. And I told myself, just bad luck, carried on with life, and went straight back to it. So I went back to life, showing up, life was full. Next one. Life was full. Don't get me wrong, there was fun, laughter, love threaded through the chaos. My lifestyle worked. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed indulgent food, alcohol at most occasions, socializing, work got busier, and I was facing some parenting challenges. But I always told myself and others, everything is fine. Everything's fine. And that became my normal. It was my go-to. Everything's fine because fine demanded nothing from me. Until I started writing things down, journaling. Well, actually at the time I was just dumping my thoughts, what was happening, a bit like a diary. I wasn't really noticing my feelings at that point, but over time that changed. It became a quiet, safe space just for me. And slowly something started to grow, my self-awareness. I started noticing things, how I reacted, what triggered me, patterns that I'd never questioned before. And nothing dramatic happened, I was just noticing. And then in August 2019, something kept popping up on my social media. It was a 90-day alcohol-free challenge. Not forever, just 90 days. And I did it quietly. No big announcement, but it was really hard. But it wasn't about alcohol. It was about keeping a promise to myself. Hangovers were replaced by walks, listening to books, being out in nature. My sleep improved. I had more energy, and something else changed. The person who started that challenge wasn't the person that finished it. 90 days came and went. Nothing changed on the outside. I was still a mum. I was still working. I was still living my life. I was still navigating the challenges I faced each day. But inside, there was more space, more awareness, more honesty. And with that came some really uncomfortable truths. And I did something that I'd never done before. I sat with them. You know that one. I didn't distract. And I realized that I hadn't really been living my life. I'd been surviving in it really, really well. And from there, the changes weren't big. They were small, tiny, almost unnoticeable, but repeated over time, they created a new autopilot for me. A walk instead of a scroll, a sunset instead of a screen, an early morning instead of rushing around, nutritious food, movement, writing, just small things. And I'll be honest, that level of awareness really, really changed things. Conversations got harder, relationships changed, some ended. Some decisions were really, really heartbreaking, but they were real. They came from truth. They came from intention and finally knowing and trusting myself. And over time, new relationships formed. Some's changed. Some became stronger, healthier, and more honest. And I think this is sometimes where we get it wrong. When we think about change and transformation, we go big, right? We think we need to overhaul everything, be better, do more, fix it all. But that's not what changed for me. What changed things for me was meeting myself exactly where I was. I didn't become a completely different person overnight. I just started taking small pockets of time just for me. Even the 90-day challenge, I didn't do it to transform my life. I did it because it felt doable. And that's it. And that's what we don't talk about enough, is that real change doesn't come from the big dramatic gestures. It comes from the small, honest moments when you start to notice yourself, gently realign, and that's where awareness grew. And so did my confidence, my self-worth, and above all, my self-compassion. I was kind to myself. I wasn't hard on myself for some of the decisions that I've made. And that for me was, I forgave myself. So a couple of years later, 2021, I decided to sign up with a personal trainer. I hadn't done any real exercise since school, and that fear was there again. That's fine. So I turned up twice a week, 45 minutes each time in my PE kit, and I stuck to it for 12 months. And in that time, something else started to shift, and I learned what my body was capable of, especially when I put my mind to it, and my confidence grew. I was doing things I'd never even thought about before, let alone even attempt. I was lifting weights up to 100 kilos, and this wasn't about becoming someone new. It was about discovering what was already there. And I made it a non-negotiable. I kept showing up, started trying new things. I did pole exercise, Thai boxing, walking challenges, and I started learning. I did my counseling and coaching qualifications, and I started showing up differently. People started to notice, and I'd lost over 20 kilos in weight along the way. I hadn't planned on losing weight. I just planned on making these little changes. People started noticing, and that felt really uncomfortable at first. Over time, I learned to accept it because something deeper was happening, and I wasn't just existing in my life anymore. I was leading it, and I was living it. I was still a mum. I was still working. I was still navigating challenges, but I was also choosing myself in small, tiny little ways. Movement, journaling, learning, not because of a big plan, but because it felt right for me. Around that time, I started paying attention to my Fitbit. I'd been wearing it for years. I never really looked at the data until I noticed something. My resting heart rate had reduced, so I got curious. So a normal heart rhythm, your heart rate goes up when you move, and when you're still again, it should go back down. Doing exercise and your body working, heart rate goes up. When you stop, it should come back down, a healthy heart rhythm. But when I look back at mine, there were periods where mine didn't. From the moment I woke up, the moment I went to sleep, it was elevated constantly. So I look back through my journal entries and there it was, actual evidence in those journals. It was a log of what was going on in my life, the struggles, the challenges, the tough decisions, the thoughts, the feelings, the exhaustion, the lack of sleep, and how it had been showing up in my body. And I've been living in survival mode. And what's interesting, that was in 2020, almost a year after the 90-day challenge, because change doesn't happen overnight, it's built. As the children were making lives for themselves, I had more time. I got out of my comfort zone. I took a few solo trips away. I also started looking at what I love to do, my skills, my experience, my qualifications, my love of helping people. And Sue Stubbs Coaching was created. Just a little side hustle at first, but I helped people through what I had learned through my own transformation. And I signed my first client, and an amazing beginning that was. Shortly after, I made a bigger decision to step away from my 20-year career in leadership. And now I've created a balance that works for me. I've got a couple of part-time roles, one at Active Sports Centre, one at Sandy Toes Mobile Sauna, and my own little business. And now, as a transformation coach, I work with people who know that something needs to change, but they just don't know where to start. And I help them do the one thing that changed everything for me, and that's help them meet themselves where they are. Because most people start in the wrong place. They try to fix everything before they've even stopped to notice what's actually going on. My working environment had changed, and I now see every single day people taking little pockets of time for themselves, in the gym, in the sauna, in the sea, movement, connection, and above all, purpose. And how much that changes things. For me, the consistent thing that I've used throughout the last 10 or 15 years is journaling. And I got to know myself, and my journaling has evolved as well. So journaling, I write it on a piece of paper, I put it in my notes. Sometimes if there's just a moment where I need to just vent something, I've got a folder that I call Talking to Myself. A voice note, something that I just need to rationalize or get out of my head. That's what I do. I video dump my thoughts, my feelings, what's going on. And that has created the self-awareness that I've got now. And it's helped my relationships. My relationships are strengthened with my children because things were very volatile. I didn't feel like I was an emotional buffer for them during my survival years. My family and friends, my partner, my mum, and most importantly, with myself. I look back on my journals and I can see how much I've changed. I can see the struggles that I've navigated through, the fun, the amazing moments, the time that's captured in real time. If you'd asked me 10 years ago if this is where I'd be, how I'd feel, how I'd be living, I absolutely would not have believed you. It wasn't a goal and it wasn't a plan. But life has a way of testing you, right? About 18 months ago, I started to feel unwell again. And interestingly, I found myself back in a familiar kind of pressure. The aftermath of a relationship breakup, legal and financial conversations, selling my house, and life was full. But this time something was different and I listened. I paused and I stopped and looked what was going on in my life. And then I noticed how I was showing up, irritable, anxious, overwhelmed, not sleeping properly, and my body was saying, you need to listen. Not pushing through like I'd always done, I just made a few small changes, tiny adjustments to bring myself back to me. And it was in that moment that I realized that everything's fine was a thing of the past. And I had a new rhythm, and I've been doing it for years, taking things in, noticing how it was affecting me, and making small, little, tiny adjustments. I hadn't given it a name, so I called it PIA. Pause, inhale, exhale, and realign. I called it the PIA method. So anyway, when you pause, it's a break in the momentum. You're taking that pause and you're coming out of autopilot. You take a step back from the situation, create a moment of stillness in your mind, and you interrupt automatic thought programs. I called I Inhale. It's noticing what you're taking in. It's not just about inhaling a breath. It's what you're taking in physically, emotionally, mentally, your environment, the point where you acknowledge what is actually going on at that moment in your life. And then with every inhale, you're exhaling how you're showing up. Are you tired, anxious, overwhelmed? Because your actions are reflective of your inner world. And then realign. What small, tiny adjustment can you make to bring yourself back to you? Not to solve everything, just one small little change, one small little pocket of time for you. Not a big life overhaul, just a simple rhythm. And now I use it. It's now my autopilot. So if you take anything from today, let it be that you don't need to overhaul your life to thrive. You don't need to become someone else's version of thriving. And you definitely don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start noticing yourself in small ways, how you react, what you're taking in, how you're showing up, and just make a little adjustment. Because it's in those small moments, those tiny pockets of time that you take for yourself, they don't just change your day. Built up over time, they change your life. I didn't know where this would lead. It wasn't a goal, it wasn't a plan, but I started anyway. That way around. And that's how I went from survival to thriving, not through a big dramatic change, but those tiny little moments repeated daily over time. The message that I hope you guys get today is that you're all busy. You're all busy women. You're all looking after other people, and that's not a bad thing. It gives us purpose, and purpose is a massive, huge part of thriving. Because this is where it matters. It's about being intentional, not reacting to life, but choosing how we move through it. Because life doesn't stand still. Children grow up, relationships change, career paths shift, and everything around us evolves. And if you're not paying attention, you get swept along with it, existing in it. And here's what I know to be true. When women look after themselves, everyone benefits, right? It's not selfish, it's responsibility, because when you wear those hats, you've got a responsibility to show up the best that you can. And you can only do that when you look after yourself, when you're clear, when you're grounded, connected to yourself. Got people that rely on us, lives that we're part of, and that matters. And it's about balance. It's about creating that balance. But the most important thing is to make sure that you are included in your life. Because when you constantly put yourself last, eventually there's nothing left to give. But creating them small pockets of time just for yourself, where you notice, realign, everything changes. Not all at once, but steadily and honestly. And that's the way that things last. So I remember thinking, when I was writing my presentation, I remember thinking, who actually cares what I've done? Who actually cares? Who cares what's happened in my life? That small decision that I made in 2019. And the truth is, nobody really does, because everybody is living their own lives. We go back to our life, we carry on autopilot, we carry on showing up for everybody else. And weirdly, that was a little bit freeing. It made me realize this isn't about people caring about me. It's about whether there's something that I've said today that helps you see yourself differently. So if something has made you pause, notice something about yourself, or think differently, then that is amazing, because awareness changes what's possible, and it always starts with you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank
you. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Oh, nice.
Oh no, come on. I thought we'd do better than that. Do you want me to start to do better than that? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sui. And Sue. Thank you, Sue. I was testing you. My fun fact. Do you want to hear the fun fact? I think you know my fun fact about Sue already. Do you? All right. Sue is the kind of transformational coach who doesn't just speak about change. She lives it, she walks and does the talk as well. I come from Nigeria, and in Pidgin, what they call that, they say she is talk and do. Please, a round of applause for Sue. Quickly, we have 2 more sessions. The next session is about wellness, and that will take about 10 minutes. Then we have the panel session, the panelists to come up. But before the panel session, we would have short break, and that would be like the rest of the events that we do have for today. All right, before we call up the next session for wellness, let's quickly just do an exercise. We want to make it rain in this room. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh, are you ready? Are you ready? All right, so let me quickly teach you how to make it rain in this room. So when I say 1, you do like this. When I say 2, you do like this. 3, 4, 5. So we're about to make it rain. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready, Bloom Conference? Are you ready to make it rain? Rain. No music, no music. We're about to make it rain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please, you're welcome to the wellness session. Yeah, let us come.
She not get me.
No.
Say I know so that she knows she's the next.
Holly Jennings is a play champion, childhood advocate, and Playful Places design consultant with degrees in psychology and mathematics. As a mother of 4 children aged between 10 and 21 years, she has extensive lived experience, play, and community, and is passionate about the power of play to support holistic child development and well-being. Emily has campaigned for more play in public places, safer-free use for children, and contributed to play-space design, early and fun. She also regularly shares insights in play media, radio, and TV, as well as TEDx Talk, Play Your Way. Please welcome to Bloom Conference 2026, Emily Jennings.
Thank you for the lovely welcome. Is this working? Okay, I can shout. I'm going to do it off screen. So we're going to use an A board and pens, but can I ask you to get a bit energetic, stand up and just do 3 turns. Don't fall over, don't get busy. 1, and then second turn with your arms. And then third turn, you choose. Okay. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. So my journey with play has been an inadvertent start. I've been a mum of 4 for 20 plus years, and kids like to play. They create play and invent play even when we don't want them to. I learned this very quickly with my eldest. She was very creative with her play. One morning, she snuck down early and she was doing play cooking on the sofa with butter and eggs being rubbed in. And her smile, as I found her, was like, I used to speak French to them, and she would mix French and English, and she'd go, cooking! You know, so cooking with a French accent as she was rubbing eggs and butter. I got cross, but couldn't get that cross because I really admired her creativity. Her other one was she loved the snow, and she was always more naughty in other people's houses because they were less stringent. They hadn't thought ahead to what she might do. My sister-in-law, she had a little basement. We lived in a London house. They had small basements, and her washing machine was down there. And she disappeared off with her little cousin and found the enormous box of laundry washing powder, the 1 kg, the big one. Maybe it's more kg. And they had created snow. The whole box had been thrown in the air, and they had created a snow scene all around this basement. And it really was like walking into a mist. Again, that look of snow. My sister-in-law had a big cleanup. I think she was ready to just say, just take her home. You go, thank you, goodbye, come for tea next week. But you can take her away now. So I'm going to start with my definition of play. The first one, play is, let me get this side, fun. And the reason it's fun is twofold. One, when something's fun, we do it again. And children learn by doing things again. They repeat it. They drop a pen to see where it's going. They're a scientist, but it's fun. It makes noise and it often gets a bit of a response. Don't drop that, or be careful, or a laugh. But it's fun. And that doesn't stop when we become adults. We do what we enjoy. So trying to tap in to that, and I've heard it already mentioned, what energizes you? What do you find fun? So I want you to be thinking already, what do I find fun? So that's a motivator in and of itself. The next thing is it's free. Play is free with 2 meanings. It is free, there's no cost, there's no obligation, there's no prescription, but it's also creative. It's that creative expression, which is the third one, is expression. And play for children before they can speak is a language of communication. But also for us as we get older, sometimes we see men grunting at each other playing rugby, and we're thinking, what's the point of that? But for them, that is play, that is fun, that is expression. And sometimes for women, it might be doing nails, it might be chatting, it might be creating, doing some craft together. And I just want to put a shout out. How creative and beautiful is all of this? And I don't know if a team did it, but this is stunning. And was it done alone by one person? Or was it a team chatting, creating, building, communicating that love into a creation to bless and communicate love to so many others? So if there's anything you remember from today, fun, free expression. Now, next bit of interaction. Can I ask you, close your eyes if you like, if that helps you focus, but we're going to try and take you back to an early or just a favorite play memory. So again, thinking back to this free, fun expression, it can be anything. There's no set rules, but a play memory that you can indwell. So have a think, what did it feel like? What were you doing? Who were you with? Where were you? Can you remember the sensory input, like what it sounded like, what it felt like? And if you can reach for a piece of paper or just mark it in your head, try to kind of really embody that memory, because that's the thing that I'd like to explore over the next few minutes. So if we put our play memory on your pieces of paper, I can't go landscape here, but I might recommend you go landscape. So in the middle, if you could draw or write your play memory. So that's mine, ignore mine. So it can be creative, it could be playing hopscotch, it could be climbing a tree, it could be playing cards, it could be playing with dolls, but just a play memory in the middle. Then I'd like you to have a think about where you were. So we've had nature mentioned already today. Please forgive my handwriting, and I can't fit it in. So nature is one area where play is really maximized and discovered, because in some ways nature is our playground. And it might be a little blade of grass or a little patch of grass in between an urban environment, or it could be that you were into skateboarding or roller skating and you needed a smooth surface. So that kind of, is it outside, or was it making a den under the stairs? Is it making a den under a table? I spent a lot of time making dens out of chairs and tables. I still find that quite fun. Then the next thing I'd like to think about is movement. So some children play still. Only one of my 4 children is a still player. The others were gone, particularly in an airport or on a ferry. They would all go in different directions. And I think this is why I design playgrounds now, because I need to have them all in one space. And so having a space that they can all engage, and the 2 playgrounds out there are the ones that I designed with that in mind. How can I meet their play needs when they all want to move in different directions? But movement is a really key part of play. And then social. We've talked about people. I think if you've come here today, you'll be an element of a people person. You might energize around people, or enjoy that person-to-person interaction, that human interaction. So thinking about the social setting of our play. And then I'm not sure we can see yellow, but I'm going to try yellow. I'm going to put creative. When I get asked how I play, I actually really love a puzzle, and I love board games where I'm thinking. And so thinking, I realize for me, is a really key part of my play. And actually my play memory is of making dams. So stopping the flow of water to change it. So I'm always thinking, how can I fix this problem? How can I make a bridge? How can I make a den? How can I get down the stairs as quick as possible? What can I use as a slide? How can I jump off the highest place? And I have children that do the same. They climb trees, they jump off the roofs of sheds into trampolines. They're always creating crazy stuff. So, our last thing, if you've got another piece of paper, with your play memory in mind, my drawing is not fantastic, but the idea is a person. I like your question. So the idea of this is that we walk away knowing how we play, because often we forget who we are and what we enjoy, because our lives are so full of should, could, and how can I connect or meet this need, but we forget who we really are. And it's not about being introspective or self-centered. It's about walking in our DNA where we are most energetic. So in one hand, I would put social. So how social, I'm going to put it here. Oh gosh, this is where my spelling isn't right. There's an S there. So some people energize in large crowds, some in one-to-one, some in small groups. But it's really thinking about your play memory and about how you best thrive. Is it in large groups, smaller groups, and owning that and being okay with it? So one is the social. The other S is for sensory. So again, thinking about the play memory. Some kids like to roll around in the mud. Some like to get into the sea up to their neck. Some love the sand. Some hate it. They really struggle with different types of skin contact. We're all made differently, and it's wonderful. So some of us would rather use a machine for baking. Others want to get their hands in. And own it. What is your sensory profile? But not forgetting that we do need human contact. And I have had the joy and pleasure of holding a baby at the back for the last 20 minutes, which I don't get to do very often. But that sensory input, we are designed for human contact and for sensory input. And when our days are filled with digital input, we lose something. And whether it's boys that need to rough and tumble or go as fast as they can on their bicycle and then see what happens, or skateboard off something and see what happens. They need the sensory input, but we still do as adults. And I think that the desire to do each other's hair and nails and touch each other, like stroking and massaging. We see girls often writing on each other's arms. Or playing that game where you do you have to say stop when it gets to this bit. Did you guys play that? Or I'm seeing one smile. And you close your eyes and you try to work out when you get to the crux of your elbow and have to get it right. All of this is human need for sensory input. So social, sensory, then thinking, cognition. So C up here. So that will be our problem solving, our innovation. Like, what is your gift? Where are you good at solving problems? Is it timetabling a day? Is it organizing people? Is it puzzles? Is it schedules? Is it creative arts? You will often see this played out in your play expression. And then the last two are pens. We've got emotional. So emotional is also linked to resilience. When we overcome a challenge, or we go through discomfort and come out the other side, we overcome. I heard recently said that women are better placed at overcoming discomfort the moment they get their period. Because every month they experience pain that is not a hazard, it is part of our rhythm. And we know that pain doesn't last forever. We can alleviate it through different practices. So it could be a hot water bottle, it could be medication. But again, holding the baby, feeling the wind, going, okay, right, she now needs to move around a bit. She needs a bit of warmth on her tummy to ease the wind through. We need that as adults. There are times where we're feeling emotionally that we need to go through it, not run away from it, but go through it and come out the other side. And as women, we are blessed. We know that every month we can overcome. And as a result, sometimes women are more resilient because we know we can suffer and survive and then thrive, which is why I love today, having had the talks on surviving and then thriving. It's so amazing that we can go through that process. But we can't overcome if we don't face the challenge in the first place. So going over the challenge and coming out the other side builds resilience. And then lastly is physical. What color do I need? Green. Physical. Some of us will move more than others. It might be Pilates rather than rugby, but we do all need to move. Our bodies need to move. It's that sensory thing, but it's also, if we enjoy food, we have to burn it off. And it's the sad reality of getting older, but that is something that we've kindly heard from our last speaker all about, from Sue, about moving more. But the physical joy that we have from dancing in the kitchen whilst we're stirring the food or picking up piles of laundry, how can we fit more play into our day? So my identity and my journey has been a lot around meeting the needs of my family. But if I don't make it fun and playful, I suffer and they suffer. And it's no different in a workplace and in all our relationships, however tricky and challenging they are. When we can find joy and fun and play, we all benefit. So please treasure those memories that have come back today, particularly if it's something that you haven't thought about for years, and think about how it might play out in your day to day. Where can you fit in a bit more play into your day with the people around you to connect with the joy and the really unique play profile that you have? Thank you very much.
You guys clap for yourselves. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you, Emily. Emily said something really important, right? And it was more of, you need to enjoy your day-to-day life. Do you remember when you just say, oh, when I was a child, I really loved those moments. So, and that's for the fact that you enjoyed your childhood. Now you living a day at a time, you are making history, right? And whatever you make of it is what you remember in life, right? So a take home from Emily: enjoy whatever you are into, your job, your family, I mean, your kids, you never see them at that stage again, your friends, everything. A round of applause again for Emily. So we are quickly going to go for a lunch break, but we'll do it in a very special and wonderful style. When you come back from lunch, I can point to anybody, right, and ask you 5 names that you have spoken to in this hall. So as you go for lunch, make sure you speak to a minimum of 5 people. I will come back and point. Now, your time starts now. We have about 15 minutes, and when we are back from lunch, we would meet with our panelists. Thank you very much. DJ August Model. No, people. Our work. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, proud of you. Thank you. Somebody.
No.
Like,
I want that to be that's good. That's lovely.
that's what God was saying. Okay. How are you? They're owning. Responsible.
I'm an class. So that when I
Are you charging the panel session now? How would they get they are doing panel session for people? If they are doing, hey, are you? All right, I'm talking about your place because inside that place. What she have been put inside area. Now, because if they are doing panel session, now they go I'm not sure. Because we put in a very central place and they are going to the head. So, can you open that door? I never think of too much. Is it too much? Because you know this thing too sometimes it's like too much. Yeah, but then now, five. One more for Emily. I mentioned here before. Six. It's five like zero. So, people. Don't worry, people. I'll help them for. I'll go and check them. The other guy, I'll check him. What you do is that emanate is maybe because of online people, right? What you do is online people, they have to be moving it around, they'll just hold it. On it. It's on now. My wife. But again,
Yeah, I did. What you tell her? No, I'm here. Before now.
I'm stepping up. I'm going up this time. Yeah.
No, but part of protection. Don't tell him.
I scroll.
But when there are other outfits, I will.
Okay. Now it's going to be welcome. Not like him.
You were.
Like you yourself, man.
Let's find our ways back. Let's come back to Jersey. Online? Okay. Okay. All right. I'm guessing we are all seated now. So, I think we have done very well for our first edition of the Bloom Conference. I think we were not clapping, Abby. Were we clapping? I'll start again. I think we have done very well for the maiden edition of the Bloom Conference. I think, DJ, let's hear their clap together. I think we have done very well for the maiden edition of the Bloom Conference. We have people online who have joined us all over the world, and comments are coming in. Yeah, it's all over the world, right? This is global, right? Yes. I wish we could just have them type where they're joining us from. So maybe as the course go on, they would just drop something on. We are at the final part of this program. And this is where the rapt attention has to come in. Do you know why? Do you? I'll tell you why. All right. Are we all seated? Yeah, thanks. So we'll be having a panel session right now. And you know why this is really important? Because great minds will be speaking all together, right? And where minds are coming together, great ideas, great action points comes out of it. So I wouldn't take much time to quickly list out the names of our panelists. I thought we'll give a clap. I thought we would give a clap. Do you know why I'm laughing? So like back then in school, after lunch, we just want to go home and just sleep. So that's like the vibe right now. So let me recharge you. I thought you would give a clap. You're already at 7/10. I thought you would give a clap. That's it. So I will welcome, and as we mentioned their names, we would play their profiles, and as the profiles played, they will come up. I'll quickly mention their name in no particular order. Opeyemi Olaleye. Adoni Valencia. Gamu Umbetu. DJ is active. Emily Jennings. Now, when I pronounced a name, you guys corrected me right. So I'm going to prove to you that I got it right. Sue. Fumi. I want to see if you guys are paying attention. What's the second name of, what's our surname? Fumi what? Clap for yourself, please. And our convener would be the host or moderating the panel session, Pelumi Adewi. So while I'm setting them up, we would have the team play their profiles. Thank you.
Just gone down.
Yeah, just- When you guys are-
As well. Apart from-
For your line guys.
This was the online guys already.
Translating complex challenges into practical solutions is
Everything.
a chartered banker, chartered accountant, and MBA holder,
They can't hear me.
especially postgraduate qualifications in financial crime, who may combine commercial experience with deep regulatory expertise. She has led transformation in trending
The profile for both is not head. I should.
not for effectivity and resilience, who may be good or she brings honest reflection and practical insight to help women realize goals and move forward with courage and confidence.
Hello, sorry about that.
Colombia and the UK at the age of 21 after graduating as a language teacher. What began as a leap into the unknown became the foundation for a career shaped by resilience, curiosity, and a strong belief in the power of people and culture. Over the past 28 years, she has built a successful career from humble beginnings, navigating change across countries, systems, and communities. Today, she serves as a strategic advisor and change agent on behalf of the government of Jersey, supporting the development, implementation, and evaluation of organization-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies. Her work focuses on turning values into action, creating environments where people feel seen, heard, and able to thrive. Please welcome to Bloom Conference 2026, Adoni Mascara Valente. It helps people step out of autopilot.
Oprah is a passionate HR professional and the organizer of FedEx and Kira, Jersey. She has a passion for helping others, creating safe spaces, and building community. She is a people professional involved in initiatives that support growth, connection, and positive impact. She enjoys meeting people with new adventures, movies, and groups, and draws inspiration from her faith, children, and military discipline. Please welcome to Bloom Conference 2026, Okwe Olalere.
Monroe brings a powerful blend of lived experience, with leadership and regional impact to every stage. A Mandela Washington Fellow, she has led and supported transformative youth initiatives across Southern Africa and represented young people at both community and international levels. Known for her reflective insight and grounded perspective, Anna speaks with authenticity about resilience, leadership, and navigating complex life transitions, inspiring audiences to turn challenges into meaningful action. Please welcome to Bloom Conference 2026, Gamlin Beckman.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming us. Please, can you welcome these amazing speakers? Can you please celebrate them better than you have already done before? Thank you. So very quickly, we're going to the panel session, of course. I'm going to be asking questions across various areas. One of the things that I thought about while putting the Bloom conference together are 4 major areas that I believe that women may be struggling with. It could be 4 of them, it could be 1 of them. And there are many more, but we just want to, for context, we just want to limit it to these 4 areas for this edition. And of course, this is the maiden edition, meaning we're going to be having another edition next year and another one next year. If we're not doing it again. Let's go. We're not clapping. Okay, but really, if you want us to have this again next year, let me see your hand. Thank you. Oh, that is very good.
Someone said you should do it twice a year.
Ah. I mean, I don't mind. This is what this is what energizes me. If anybody asks, this is it. So yeah, I don't mind really. If we have the resources, the people, and all of that, it is something that is very doable. I'm open for it. Trust me, more than you know. I am. Thank you for that, and I want to thank everyone for staying up until this time as well. So I was saying that I'm going to be asking these questions across these areas. But while we go on, if you have questions, say 2 or 3 questions, you may want to come to the mic, which is fine. But if you prefer that you want us to read it out for you, you can just pen it down. When we get to that point, I will then ask that you come to ask the question, if that's fine by everyone. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being on this panel session with me. And I know that we are all here to learn. I'm also, in fact, I'm just going to be asking questions. I'm going to be like learning. So the 4 areas are money, mindset, and meaning. Money, mindset, and meaning. And that is towards our finances as women. The second area is about reclaiming your voice, and that speaks to confidence, courage, and calling. And the third area is about health and well-being as it concerns women, because I mean, we stress a lot, so we need that. And then the 4th one that we're going to be anchoring this on is the power of sisterhood, and that is about relationships, building meaningful relationships with fellow ladies and fellow sisters, and building long-standing, long-lasting relationships. I mean, I was privileged to watch a program a few days ago, and it was a birthday of somebody I knew, and she was celebrating, I think she was celebrating 70, and her girlfriends that have been friends from secondary school, and they've maintained that friendship since that time up until now. They were out there, all doing well, all looking all old, everyone, they have their grandchildren now, everyone was there, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And when I say they're doing well, these are people that they are not living for social media, so they are not thriving just because of social media. They are doing well. And that is what I believe good relationships can do for people. So we are going to be anchoring the last segment of the questions on that. And the questions could come from any one of these areas at any point. Well, you know what? I believe in my speakers and my panelists, their wealth of experiences and everything. They will do justice to the questions. Because guess what? I didn't send the questions to them. Clap for me. Okay, so let's start with this. And this is from reclaiming your voice, confidence, and courage and calling and all that. So I will start with this question. Many women shrink themselves in professional and social spaces without even realizing it. What does that look like in real life, and how can we begin to shift it? Soak it in. Take it in. Does that make sense? Does it look like I'm talking for some people? Did I ask the question for somebody? Should I repeat myself? Okay. Many women shrink themselves in professional and social spaces without even realizing it. What does that look like in real life, and how can we begin to shift it? Does that look like a question you want to ask? Ah, does that look like a question you want to ask? All right, so who wants to go for it? Thank you, Emily.
From my experience, I think identifying the unique perspective that I have will empower me to share it. Because, and I know someone else share a story that I'm connected. Yes, that makes me feel understood, seen and heard. And so when I realize I can do that for somebody else, I'm empowered and encouraged and emboldened to speak. But if we think that we don't matter, or our perspective or experience doesn't matter, or it's the same as everyone else, then we're maybe less likely to share it. That answer the question.
Does that answer the question? Can we please appreciate Emily? Yeah, yes, of course. Wow.
Direction. How most women, that's requested.
No.
And so every time I go into a room, I do a mindset, I just do that shift in my mind and say, I deserve to be here. I deserve a seat on the table. I deserve to be spoken. Nobody's going to say what I have to say the way I will say it. I mean, we can all say the same thing, but the way that I present mine, in my experience, the way that he comes across to me would be different. So the first thing is that mindset shift. So for that position to shift from shrinking in a room and feeling small, is first your mindset as a woman needs to change, and you need to begin to think that I deserve it. I can be, I deserve it. I can be here. I will say it differently, and my voice matters.
I've been in another side of that aspect where
Together for people on Zoom.
I feel like I'm on social media. It's not working. Why am I doing this?
Let me hold it for you. Continue.
Oh, because it records.
Of course, Zoom, don't
Oh, wow. Wow. I feel like the queen right now. Okay, so I lost my train of thought. I have been in that situation where I believed that I deserve it, and I started speaking. And guess what? You're shut down because you're a woman. And I want to read out something when we did International Women's celebration in my office. One of the things asked was, have you experienced bias as a woman? And I'll read out my response. Because you could be in that side of where you need to realize you need to speak up. And then you could be in the side where you have actually been speaking up, but you've been shut down because you are a woman and you're going to experience it, where people think you're too loud, you're too, so this is what I wrote. Like many women in leadership, I've experienced moments where clarity was mistaken for sharpness. Being assertive was occasionally read as being difficult. It appears that when a man is assertive, he's decisive, but when a woman is, she can sometimes be described as a bit too strong. Over time, I've learned to navigate this with intention, balancing strength with emotional intelligence and conviction with warmth. These lessons have deepened my leadership, teaching me that influence grows not by reducing who you are, but by expanding how you connect. Those experiences didn't silence me, they shaped me. I learned the power of awareness to read the room, to soften where needed, to communicate in ways that invite alignment without losing conviction. It's a reminder that leadership is not about shrinking to fit expectation, but to evolve and make impact. While this is about leadership, the idea is that there will be times where even when you want to become assertive as a woman, you're being considered as being too harsh, being too overspoken. You need to be able to manage the two, because that fear of being called too harsh is why some women become apologetic. They shrink into themselves just to fit in. You need to find a way not to put yourself, to still have that impact and to make a difference.
Thank you. And that's on period. That's on full stop.
Thank you. The next question is really linked to what she has said. It just really leads very, very, very nicely into it. And the next question is that in environments where you are the only woman or the only one who looks like you, how do you stay confident without feeling like you have to prove yourself constantly? So it sort of just flows from there. And I wanted you to answer the question, Adoni. So yeah, you're next.
I would say that what I was gonna say, coincidentally, about what you're talking today, is not only about being a woman, but there are some added elements to it. So I am a Colombian woman, which is already Black. Yeah. So I had got, there's some bias about being a Colombian woman. Just by saying Colombian, you probably have got an idea. Yes. So people think that they have got preconceptions about who I am and how I am. So when I get into a room, funny enough, I don't get judged for my color, but I get judged for my nationality. So how do you make that happen and shift? So every time that I go somewhere, I feel like I need to prove that not all Colombians are drug dealers. I have to prove, so not only fighting with the idea of being a woman, I need to prove that my nationality is not tarnished. How do you shift that? By not concentrating on what people think about you, by actually being yourself, by actually making something which is significant and matters to you. So when you stop thinking about what people think about you, then suddenly your experience and the things that you have to share with other people really, really matter. And the telephone rings. And then this is what I say. So when I used to do my presentations, when I was working, I always normally end up with a statement, because normally people, the only thing that they remember about that statement is the last maybe 20 words. Yes. So I always finish with,
this is Adoni, a Colombian woman who spoke for you today. So that creates an impact, and that creates a positive impact on people. Then you shift without realizing, you shift what other people think of you. You do not have to prove it. You don't have to tell people that you're not a drug dealer. But with your actions and with the things that you do, then these things, the power might change. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just digress a little bit from that point, and I want to ask this question that says that a lot of women, and I know you spoke to that while you were speaking as well, but this is a time to buttress more on it. A lot of women are functioning, but not actually well. They are tired, they are stretched, and they are pushing through because they have to. How do you recognize when you're no longer thriving or you're just surviving?
Oh, thank you. That is a really good question. And I think sometimes even when we're surviving, we don't necessarily realize that we're in that state. And until something happens like an illness or somebody says, are you okay? And you just keep carrying on. But I think we're talking about it a lot more now. There's a lot of information out there. We've got things like Bloom, we've got mental health, we've got a lot of resources out there. Even some of the ladies that I've spoken to during the break, we still don't take that time to recognize what's actually going on. And I think that's the important thing, just recognizing it. And sometimes, like I say, you use the everything's fine. It doesn't demand anything of you. But if you then go, okay, let me just look into that a little bit more, and then something may come up, and lean into that. There's a lot of support out there, but I think although there is a lot of information, it can be quite overwhelming. You're like, I don't quite know where to go. Who can I talk to? But yeah, it's been spoken about a lot more. So lean into when something doesn't feel right, and just ask that question, why is that not okay? Because there is a lot of support, and maybe every 6 months these little conferences can happen because people do need it.
Yes, yeah. I was going to tap into that because when Sue spoke today, it resonated with me. It resonated with me because last year I had a big health scare. And that health scare, it shook the tree. Because you think that you can do it all. And so I was going through a bit of turmoil, again, financial, divorce, moving house, all sorts of things, lots of work. And then you can think, I suppose you think that you can do it all. And what it helped, it's recognizing when you cannot do it. It's be really aware. The health scare probably was the knock, yeah. But then now, when I'm feeling that I'm going in that direction, it's recognizing that you're going in a direction that you might fall. So it is having to be aware of yourself, and then recognize when things are not going okay. And then, as you say, stop, breathe, yes, pause, and actually say, what is happening to me? I think we don't do that enough. We just let it go. We let things happen, and then it's when
we had the health scare, is that when we do things, but we could actually stop ourselves and think, maybe there's something wrong and I cannot put my finger on it. And then maybe if we have that pause and we reflect on it, then we might find out what are the things that are not happening to us. We have to be honest with ourselves. And then that's one thing that you cannot kid yourself. So if it is not going well and then you keep going, at some point, especially your health and your mental health will definitely feel it. There's so many things out there, and then that you can tap into it. And there's so many things in Jersey you can tap into it. But you need to pause and think about it.
I'm quite convicted by quite a lot of the things that have been said. I'm not sure if anybody's out there, but what I also think is very important is having a community around you that reminds you when you are not yourself. And something that Adonai said is about that self-awareness also lets you know who you need to be in your corner. Who is it that I give to, but who also pours into me? And when you realize that you're pouring and you're pouring and you're pouring, but what am I putting in as well? I think is a good way to recognize when you've moved into survival mode, because nothing is filling your cup. So I think that's also very important, having that sisterhood, having that community, and find people who pour into each other. As you said, there'd be more bloom circles, and maybe in those bloom circles, we have that sense of accountability where you just have a moment to check in with yourself, to check in with each other. Are you okay? Is your cup at 10, is at 100%? Is it at 70%? Where there's that safe space. So I think that's critical.
Across what has been said, is the fact that whenever you notice it, lean into it. That's where that self-awareness, that's where you start to then ask the question of what do I need? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to surround myself with? Lean in, don't ignore it. We are very good at ignoring something that has to do with us. If it's our child or children that falls or something, we'll be like, what's wrong with you? We want to go into, we want to probe. What happened to you in school? What happened? But when it's us, be like, I'll be fine. And then you just move on. So don't do that to yourself. If you really want to thrive, you want to thrive beyond surviving, don't let it slide. We let so many things slide. And from that, I will move to this next question. Okay.
And as you speak, I just thought about you can be in the right circles, but you also need to unplug yourself from the wrong circles. So so talking about community, if you're in a community where the energy is being drained from you, you lose more energy, right? But if you're in a community where your energy gets charged, then you be in the right community. So part of the self-awareness also comes from knowing, am I in the wrong circles? Sometimes when I have some thoughts, I might just think to myself, being with the wrong people. I just need to be with the right people, and then there's a shift in your mind. So as you think about being self-aware, also think about who you will lean into and who you are pouring into and what circles you're receiving from.
Thank you. So the next question, very quickly, it's about finances. And I picked up from what Ashley said when she said she was going through so much last year and all of that. So how can a woman begin to rebuild her relationship with money specifically if she's coming from a place of fear, survival, or past financial mistakes? Take it away.
Oh, we've lost him.
We love playing.
Always.
I like playing one of those games.
What a oh dear, it's broken. Oh, There's no magic trick for it. Now, one thing that we are not told when we are younger is to be able to plan financially our lives without a partner. We are told that we have to be wives, and well, I'm sorry, I am 60 years old, so probably not applicable for the majority here, but yeah. Yeah. So you are not told that you do not depend on someone else. So to be financially able, you have to teach your kids from very early age, both sexes, how to financially be independent. For some funny reason, well, I mean, my dad just like up there, is probably looking down, always say the best thing that you could do as a woman is to be responsible for yourself financially, always, absolutely always. And then when times get tough, and in my case, I'm going to share it with you, I'm not ashamed of sharing it here. With my partner lost his business. And by losing his business, it meant that the reason why we came to Jersey, which it was to retire, we could not do it. So what it meant for me is that he lost his business, he lost all our savings, he lost everything, and I had to start all over again. So I had to start all over again meant that I had to start in a job that I didn't want to, do what I didn't want to, and rebuild our lives again. He went into completely depression, and it was a really hard avenue to deal with. So what I learned from it, it was that I had two choices. One, to sit down, see my world crumbling down, or pick myself up and do whatever I needed to do to be able to get to the position I'm today. So from that point of view, I just saw my resilience needed to work, needed to happen. What is it that I'm looking for? Is this what I dream of? All those questions that probably all the ladies have said about today. Is this what I dream of doing? As are the things that are happening to me really? Am I going to let everything to go down the pan after I have worked so many years into this? And I had to pick up myself. So I went back to work, and that took a lot of a lot of hard truth as to what I can do, what I cannot do. And then it came the divorce. And then with the divorce, it came so more painful. So what I had to do is take the book back, the one that I used when we lost all our money, bring it back again. Take the book, read it. What did I do before that I can apply today in this moment? It's a painful experience. It's something different, but what can I do that I did before? And exactly the same. Work again, pause again, try it again, and do not lose faith. And then just think that if I've done it before, I will do it again. Because people say to you, oh, well, you're getting old. I said, if I did it again, I can do it now. Yeah? So that was my story.
Thanks so much, Sorry, I just wanted to add something to that.
I haven't gone, I think you've gone through a lot. That's amazing how you got over that. I haven't gone through it, but as she was talking, I was just reflecting because looking at most of us here, young women, most of us are working, right? And I think it's to reflect, could this happen to me that in future something could happen and I would lose my financial stability? And I was just thinking, how have I gotten myself ready for that? And, you know, I don't pray that any one of us lose our partners. For those who have partners, for those who don't have partners, you're not going to lose your financial stability because your money it stays with you. But
So if you're buying properties with your husband, I'm sure a lot of people know, it should be dual names. It shouldn't be one name. So I guess for me, it's a case of reflection. What am I doing right now that really, we're not praying we're going to lose your spouse, but we can just be a reality and how ready would I be for it? Thank you.
Yeah, just picking up on what you're saying there about investing, I'm just thinking think about something a little differently, and I look about investing in yourself in terms of your skills, in terms of your human capital, and just going back and thinking, okay, what have I done in my lifetime that I can now capitalize on, similar to the way that I've had and how to life coaching. Similar to Connie, you've got a wealth of knowledge, and then you can then channel that into something else that, it is about money for sure, but also you're invested in yourself in terms of your learning, and in terms of your capability, and what you can use that for, even to help others.
Sorry, I think the big thing from what I've also learned from Ajay now is being honest with yourself.
Yes.
I think that's a very important conversation that we have to have with ourselves in terms of our standing. This is what I have. This is what I have in terms of what is in my hand, what I can do. But also this is what I have in terms of finances. We don't have that conversation often enough. It's almost something we look at in a taboo way, or even ask each other about salaries before you apply for a job. Are we investigating and actually asking each other those deep questions? And also something I think that holds us back, especially in the social media era, is living for other people. So trying to appear that you're at a different level than where you are at. But the truth is that nobody really cares. We're all still worried about our own tax return at the end of the day. So if so I think it's about having those honest conversations about what you can afford and being very self-aware. Ask for help where you need to, and also learn. There's so much on social media in 2-minute videos. You don't necessarily have to read the books and invest. And just, Adonai, these are new conversations even for us in terms of investing and doing these things. So I'm really grateful that we've been able to share like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Things out of our academy. You are doing it. Clap for me now. Thank you very much. I'll just go on the, flow on that, on where we just ended, where we just not. And I will ask this question.
And it's about, we'll be talking about, speaking out, look out for people that can pull back into you, look out for all those things that we've been saying. And the question is, what role does vulnerability play in building real connections? And how do we do that safely? And the reason I'm asking this is, all of us are on our phones now. We can just send a chat without knowing what's on our mind, what's on our head. We are on social media, we like, we probably put a comment, but our hearts are not really there. But if we want to build real sustainable relationships, we know that we need to build real connections with people. So how does a woman, how do we, or rather, what role does building this real connection? And how do we do that safely? You understand that, because you don't also want to expose yourself so much that it becomes so very how far too far you are vulnerable, how do you recognize who to be vulnerable with, and how to be real connection? Okay, now.
It's another one. Let's go to now.
But two. Okay. I'll try and balance. Vulnerability is a hard one. There are a few things that I think of with regards vulnerability. And the first one is that it's the letting go of the guilt and the shame that we expect to come out of being vulnerable, right? So that sometimes really holds us back. But I would like to reshape vulnerability and think of it as a power. So it's the ability to discern what I can share in different environments. But before you even do that, there's something that Auntie Fumi mentioned about having that level of self-awareness as well, so that you know you can strategize in different environments. So once you're self-aware of yourself, what you have to offer and who you are, and you claim it and you own your power, like what Emily was saying, like, I know myself, I know my power. It makes it much easier to share. Obviously, you're not coming here to share your bowel habits and things like that, right? This is not the room for that. That's for you and your doctor, maybe, right? But there's room for you to be able to share so that you can create deeper connections. When I used to work with politicians, one of the things that used to hold a lot of women back was that they'd be scared that if they went into politics, they'd be shamed for, firstly, being a woman, your sexual history, and all of the things that come with womanhood, whether it's your color, whether it's your background, all of those things. But the truth is, that's who you are. And being vulnerable and taking ownership of who you are allows you to also take feedback. Some of it you don't have to take, but also allow people to build their own perspective of you as you are as a whole person, not just in parts. So that's what it means to me in terms of being vulnerable and building connections. Yeah.
I sometimes think about authenticity that's alongside vulnerability. And actually, if we think about how to be safely vulnerable, sometimes it's not safe to be vulnerable, but we should always be authentic. And we'll have different layers to authenticity. And thinking about Sue's journey she shared today, there was a lot of vulnerability in what you shared. And it was so powerful. But when you were living it, you probably didn't share it in the same way. But when you've overcome, then you can share to encourage other people on the journey. And so that's the authenticity of just saying, this is really me. This is really where I am. And thinking back to what you were just saying about helping politicians and people in leadership, about being fearful about being vulnerable. And I think as a woman, again, some of the prejudgments that come in of, oh, she's getting a bit heated, a bit hot under the collar, a bit emotional. God forbid we should be too emotional. Like, you know what? In an age of AI can't be emotional. Machines can't be emotional. We need to embrace our humanness and be more human. So actually
be kind when we're emotional, but don't shy away from being emotional, because that's where our power comes from and that's where our strength comes from. And one example I'd like to close with, just this bit, not close the whole thing. We're speaking at a dear friend's funeral, and she very sadly died at 46, leaving 2 children under 8. And she was a wonderful, exuberant character and was a real loss to many of us. And I wanted to share some of her and my experience of her at the funeral, but I was so worried about crying and not being able to get through. And it took my a friend who said, don't worry, if you cry, it gives other people permission to cry. And that's the power of our emotional and our vulnerability. When we share, it gives other people opportunity to share, to suffer, to rejoice, to cry with us. And that's what makes us human and not machines.
Thank you so much. Our time is now fast spent, so I'll go to the last question. I still have a lot of questions, but I'll go to this. For women who have lost confidence due to past experiences, rejection, criticism, failure, being shut down, being told you're too loud, and they've lost themselves, where do they even begin again?
You know, yeah, just quickly, I will pass it on to you. I touched on in my talk about being not good enough, and that's something I learned at a very, very young age in primary school, and it always was an underlying thread of not being good enough. And I think we kind of learn by what people tell us, but then we keep repeating these stories in our head. So we kind of reaffirm that to ourselves. And I think that the turning point is to change the narrative for us, compassionately as well. But I think that is kind of the starting point to then believe in ourselves and build that confidence and, you know, build that self-worth, because I think self-worth is a big thing in across the board. So.
Wow. I think it is. You were talking about building a community or surrounding yourself of people who actually makes a difference. With the path of all my journey, what it has happened is I have shaded some people out of my life because they are toxic, and those are the ones who reinforces the feeling that you're not good enough. So if you surround yourself, if you recognize, if you go to the process of recognizing that something is not happening, and then you recognize that you're talking to yourself and then you're doing it in a negative way, also look at the people that is around you and that is feeding you, and also shade those people away from you. Because what you need to be surrounded with is with people who actually can put you back into the place that you should be. And the people who actually say, it's okay, it's okay, you will be fine, you can do it. And I'm not saying that I haven't had moments of self-doubt. Yes, I have. So many times I have self-doubt. But what I have done is to go to my tribe, the one who gives me power. And it says, what do you think about it? You can't do it, Adoni. Of course you can't do it. You have done it, you did it before, you will be able to do it again. And then there are those people who actually gives us some moments of clarity and then probably a lot of power to start again. So do not lose faith, you know, and surround yourself by people who are not toxic.
Well, you don't have to say no. Okay, I was going to say exactly what you had there.
Yeah, so that we just try it very nicely. Many women have experienced sport or competition in female relationship. How do we reduce shock? So,
Yeah.
what I have two questions. I just quickly answer that and then we can.
Okay, no pressure. Uh, my answer to that was going to be a reflection of ourselves as a woman. It's more when you find someone who's losing confidence, how are you helping? So this is me wearing the hat of, I am not the one losing confidence, but my friend is, and how am I helping them? Because sometimes we are the problem. Someone talks to you about how they're feeling, and 1 week later, the person meets someone and says, "Oh, I heard you were feeling that." Of course not. We shouldn't do that. We should be helping ourselves. We should be, because if everyone is a safe place, then you can have more bloom circles. You can have more safe circles. But if you don't realize, and I think it plays back to sisterhood. Real sisterhood is finding your tribe, finding the people that you can feel vulnerable and safe with. In my moments, and in practical terms, when I go to places and I find people like me, I practically walk up to them and have a conversation and see how and where they can pour into me, and you build that relationship. Sometimes some of us are a one-time people, hello, hi, and that's it. But you're not going to build strong relationship with Elo and I. You're going to build strong relationship with investing in a relationship, and then you yourself being a safe place for other people to share their own vulnerabilities with you. So rather than see ourselves as competitions, it's more collaborative. There's enough room in the sky. There's enough place. It's better when we are, and maybe my Southern sisters, Southern African would say, Akuna Matata, I am because you are. Yes, so I am Ubuntu, yes. Yes, that's just what she said, right? So I am because you are is very powerful when there is a bond. And I know life is busy. There's also the place of intentionality. It's very easy to finish from work and go home. And then if you have kids, if you have a partner, and your life is just in that circle. But when your life is just that circle, it's even easier for you to go into losing your confidence, because you're a one person, one man army, one man this, and there's nothing more to you. But if you begin to find purpose and connections and relationship around you, you find yourself beginning to bloom. And in practical terms, when I relocated to Jersey, I first tried to make friends. It wasn't working because the first feedback I was hearing, she's quite direct, she's quite different, she's this, she's that. And it was a culture shock that everyone thought that I was direct, but I wasn't direct, I was me, by my background, by my origin, by who I was. But it was a question of what was I going to do to be inclusive? Everyone who knows me, I like to say that inclusive is a two-way street. You be inclusive in your mindset. You expect inclusion, but you first be inclusive and see what you can do, what adjustments you can make. But the moment I started making an adjustment, I had more friends, and then I now had friends, purposeful friends, friends I can speak to about my marriage, friends I can speak to about children, friends I can speak to about finances. And then I had plenty of safe circles all of a sudden. And then if I walk on the street today, I do have people say hello and hi. And I have invested in relationship. I have people who will call me and say, "Oh, how are you doing?" If I have a dream, I have people I will share it with, and they will cheer me on and things like that. But it's been her journey. It was first a journey of, I cannot do this. Where am I? Well, why did we come here? Why did we move? And things like that. A lot of self-doubt. But in practical terms, is me investing in relationship and intentionally building those relationships and being a safe space for others as well has reaped good fruits for me, because I am a safe place. I didn't have other safe places, and I hope that helps.
This, oh, is it fine? Oh, I don't. Okay, and yeah, and Femi needs to finish this thing. I was actually going to speak to something that you said about what your value center is as a person. I think is important in what grounds you. So while Oprah was speaking about being a safe place, I think we have to invest a lot of work in who we are as individuals so that we can deal with our own insecurities. So competition is very normal. For those that studied in Africa, you know that from grade 1 to high school, you are either number 1 or you're number last, right? So competition is a part of life. We're absolutely aware of that. But if you look at nature, in play, you're talking about going into nature and finding yourself, you'll find that even the trees compete for light. But one thing is that they all grow. There's space for everybody. But the only way that you can find your space is in intentionally investing in yourself and learning what it is that you have to offer, that I can never offer what Oprah has to offer, which is why we have to work together and we collaborate. So I think that's very important. And one of the key things for me that I think is important in terms of building self-confidence, in terms of collaborating instead of competing, or competing with some kind of values, is having a center. What is that center that rebuilds you? For a lot of people, it might be religion. What is your God in life? That will determine your values. Is it the universe? Is it whatever it is will sort of center you? So it's important to invest in yourself. And I think Auntie Fumi said something about that, and I'll hand over to her.
I believe that everyone has said almost everything, but something just keeps coming to me. And I want to say that I've experienced a point in my life where I almost lost my confidence. And due to being shut down, I wouldn't say I lost it, but I almost did. And I'll tell you what worked for me, and still works till today. And it's in addition to all of those things we've all said about talking to people, growing a community. But the first thing I did was I prayed. And that's the truth, guys. I prayed because I had a God. There's sometimes when you can't tell other people how you are feeling. You can't be that vulnerable, except to your spouse or to your God. So, and then when we say that, look for some people, sometimes you don't even know who it is that is the right person, because you can be vulnerable with somebody else and then they just talk about you out there. So I needed to be careful. I prayed, and then I found a coach. So one of the things that Okpe said was about coming into a new environment. I'd been a leader for over 10 years before I came to Jersey. And I came to Jersey. I found out that my leadership skills was not the same kind of leadership skills you could use over there. It changes because the people you're leading are different. But I'd used that, and it probably had backfired on me. And I was at a point where I was thinking, am I a crap leader? Am I rubbish? Am I this? Am I that? I prayed. I don't know who else I would discuss that with. So what did I do? I got a coach. And sometimes if a third party that is a stranger is the best person you want to speak to, somebody that would not judge you, that does not know you. And I purposely looked for a coach that reflected. It was quite interesting because when I had the opportunity to look for coaches, I saw names, different coaches, and there was one that was a woman of color like myself, and my mind was like, yes, take her, she will understand you. And something told me she will just resonate what you think what is happening. You need someone that is here that can tell you exactly what people here expect of you, or what you're doing that is wrong, that does not know you, does not have an affinity to you. So I chose a white male coach, and it was fantastic because I didn't have anything to lose. I could tell him anything. I didn't know him from anywhere. I wasn't afraid of being judged, and he wasn't afraid of being judged. He spoke to me. He told me rough areas I needed to trim, being that I'm in a new environment, things I needed to do differently. You get a mentor, you get a coach. You want to align to the environment that you're in. You want to understand, why did I lose my confidence? Who is it that spoke something? Because yes, while we're looking for friends, we also need to be careful. Those friends themselves could, at the beginning, seem like they're going to be friends, but they could still put you down in some way. So for me, what worked was praying, getting a coach, a mentor, and working it out. Thank you.
Oh, wow, it's been very enriching. Thank you so much, everyone. Can we please appreciate our panelists? Once again, we're supposed to have something now, but we already out of time, but this is what I'm going to say. From today, we're going to be opening up what we call the Bloom Circles. How many of us are excited for that? So the circles are going to be, and we're first going to come in, and then we're going to send in, for those that will be registering to get into that, we have the QR code. One is here, but then we can send it. I don't know if I sent it to you for that, but we'll put it on the screen. I'll give it to them once I'm done here, and we can scan it. It's just going to take your name and your email address, but we're then going to send you emails with the different categories that you would love to be in. And that is just to establish many of the things that we have mentioned here today. Some of us here, it is our finances, where we know that right now, if I don't do something about it, everything's going to scatter. You know that is where you want to go. If it's about your well-being, your wellness, you want to get, you want to build habits, and you need somebody to consistently cheer you on to be able to build those consistent habits that will make you feel well again. Maybe you need to make decisions, things you need to do, because we've heard about, being the hard truth you need to tell yourself, right? That we need to tell ourselves. So if it's that, if it's about you learning to build sisterhood, that is where you need help. That is also going to be there. So how many of us are excited for that? Thank you. Thank you very much. And also, before I let the panelists go, actually, I let out their accompaniment, not like they're saying it, but yes, before I let them go, I also like to mention that Bloom Conference is here to stay by God's grace. I don't know how many what I need to say. And we're going to be having another edition, of course, next year, but this one that somebody is asking if we should do before next year. Now, before the big one, what we'll be doing is that the Bloom Circles are going to be meeting, maybe depending on what we agree on. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, depending on what our schedules, can take. But what we will do, instead of us to have all this at once every 6 months, I think it's a lot, but we can do that every year. However, for the Bloom Circles, it will give us the opportunity to meet in pockets. We'll build that sisterhood, we'll build relationships, so that when we are back, it comes in a better and a bigger, we are fuller, we're able to bring in more people to experience what we have experienced today. And if you've experienced something really good today, please, can you just give a clap and an applause? Thank you. And myself, I have. Thank you. Yes, please. The mic. No, don't worry. It still works. It still works.
I know Pelumi is very, very humble, but it's important. And I think after the work today, I think it is, I know that she is very humble. I think it is important if we want to really make this message to go. I will encourage everybody to go into the medias to talk about this, to talk about what we did today, your experience of today. If you have got LinkedIn, to go into your LinkedIn and tell everybody what you experienced today, what has it been for you. And I know that this should have been absolutely packed with women here. And I know that Pelumi is just so humble, he just doesn't want to say that, but you should have, because this is important. And I'm sure all the women would have definitely been really inspired with all the things that we have spoken today.
Yes, please, can we appreciate our guest? Thank you. That was very, thank you. Was very encouraging. Thank you, Adoni. Thank you, everyone. Let's appreciate it. And please, before you go, we'll be going around to take a short 1 minute, 30 seconds interviews from from the ladies here, just so you tell us what it is, what you learned, what the experience was like for you, and so that also helps us to push the message of Bloom out and thriving in different seasons. So I'm going to be sending that to you so that the QR code can be on the screen, and then you can just scan. Also, I want to do an appreciation for the brands that worked with us. I'm already doing vote of thanks, by the way. Okay. Hello. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we worked with a couple of brands today, and you know, this is our days of little beginnings, and they believed in us. They worked with us. They gave us. Please, let's clap now. They gave us, you know, the soft landing as much as possible. And we just want to, can we appreciate our partners and vendors? That is, so if you look at the box in your front that has like a little candle, that is MR Artisan. She gave us, she did this, and it was, and you can see it was designed like bloom, like the blooming flowers. Please come, and she's not here. Yes, she couldn't be here today because of work, and somebody else had to be here to cover her, but then she's really excited, and she did this for us at a really, you know, good price, partnering with us. Can we also appreciate Flower? Many of us know Flower. Yes, that's Pascaline from Flower. The sandwiches, the cupcakes are from Flower, and all the cupcakes we actually paid for. We didn't pay for them; it was given to us. So can we appreciate Flower for that? And then we have the Explore Network. I'm the founder of the Explore Network, and that's my coaching outfit. And of course, we have brought this to you. We're powering the Bloom Conference. Please appreciate the Explore Network. And we have Upwest Kitchen. Please let's appreciate Upwest Kitchen. So all of the snacks, the meat pie, the sausage roll, the chicken, that was all our. Please can where is she? Please appreciate Upwest. And then we have the Anchor Point. The Anchor Point is a religious organization, and it's we started a couple of months ago, and they've also really, in fact, they are like our main sponsors because they really helped empowering and financing this conference. Because we appreciate the Anchor Point. And then our beautiful decoration and the things on the table, the balloons, that's T Glam. Can we please appreciate T Glam? Where's she? That's T Glam. And she also gave us a mocktail stand at the back. It's not plenty, it's not for plenty people, but you know, maybe first come, first serve, but at least she gave us that, and at a really good price as well. And for the souvenirs on the table, that was all me. Thank you very much. Because I mean, it's about Bloom, and I didn't want everyone to go empty-handed. And then finally, please, can you appreciate yourselves? Clap for yourself now. Clap for yourself. Clap for yourself. I really want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. This is the first of many. This is just the beginning. And I know that from now we will go from just surviving into thriving. Please don't go let us take pictures. That's amazing. I didn't go come like that, you know, before we go. And with this, we have come to the end of Bloom Conference Journey 2023. Please let's appreciate our MC, our very funny and dramatic MC. I had no idea it was that dramatic. I was smiling till my cheek out. And then our DJ August Model. Please let's appreciate her. And I'll take, oh my goodness, how can I leave? Please appreciate our media and technical team. Thank you very much. And can you especially appreciate the men that came here to support us? I mean, if they're not here, there's really nothing we can do about it. But they are here and they've been supportive. In fact, we've done a lot of heavy lifting, and we really want to really appreciate that. Thank you, every one of you. Thank you for coming. Thank you to all our speakers, our keynote speakers, Auntie Fumi and Sue, and then to Okte, to Gamu, to Adoni, to Emily, to myself. Thank you. Thank you very much and have a lovely, lovely evening. God bless you. Pictures, pictures. Please come forward, let's take pictures. Is that it? Pictures, please come forward for pictures. Our father. This song now, this is song of looking for their father. This song. Yes, our father is lost. Now wait. Let's come together. Bimbo, Bimbo. Take picture, but you can't take videos. We need the mic for the video for the interview. We need to do interview.
Ah, you look sharp. Thank you. That was nice. MC, welcome to We Don't Catch Up. Welcome to We Don't Catch Up. That was so nice. I invite you to my wedding. That's it. You're wedding and me now. I booked you.
I'll start a business. Let me start a business now. I'll start a business now. Ladies, pictures, 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 pictures.
I don't open shop now. I don't open MC shop now. At my house. As in the kitchen, it's going to be drums if I decide to put the money. But what? Have I like?
What is it looking for? He went to charge it. Where is the plan? Pastor Peru, give this here now. Yes. Okay.
So that is already you profit. Asante is that. Asante. Okay, let's go. One more.
Hey, Joe, microphone is shouting. I'm back. Sorry. So I can hear off.
Thank you for your entry.
Absolutely. You can enjoy it.
I'm just tired.
Sorry.
And I got one fun.
I want to say you went so much fun.
I like that.
Right, you guys.
Thank you.